So yeah, I don't want to I don't want my brain to turn to porridge. I don't want porridge brain.
Welcome to King Moves. In chess, the king moves one step at a time, but that single move can change everything. Each week, we explore mindset shifts and simple actions that could lead to the next breakthrough in your business and life. I'm your co-host, Ethan King, from Atlanta, Georgia, USA. Entrepreneur, TEDx speaker, and best-selling author of Wealth Beyond Money.
And I'm your co-host, Justin King, no relation to Ethan, from Cape Town, South Africa. Entrepreneur, speaker, and business growth strategist. Our journey crosses continents and cultures as we think out loud, challenge assumptions, and uncover the small moves that create big momentum. Welcome to King Moves. Let's start the conversation. All right, Ethan, I have a question. Are our brains going soft? And what I mean by that is we've spoken so much about what we can do with AI, what's possible with the likes of ChatGPT, the likes of Claude, the likes of Claude Code, how easy it is to prompt them, how easy it is to put a few brain dump ideas in there and get it to do the heavy lifting or take over the heavy cognitive work for us, the deep thinking. But when do we ever sit and do that deep thinking ourselves anymore? And I'm worried about it. I'm worried about it. It's become way too easy to just put a few bullet points down and say, create a coherent paragraph for me around this topic. And it's there without really having to do any heavy lifting or deep thought, sitting with it, wrestling with an idea in your mind. So have we reached the stage right now where we need to be crafting or creating time in our calendars to do heavy thinking or deep thinking, to do some of that heavy cognitive work? Because if our laptop or our phone is within arm's reach, it's almost just a reaction now to be like, I don't feel like doing this, because we sometimes hide behind efficiency. It's more efficient to get the LLM to do this for me, which I get. But at the same time, I don't know, when is there a net loss because we're not doing more of it ourselves?
Yeah. Interestingly, I had a business coach once that he made me put thinking time on my calendar. Block out time to just sit and think. No devices. You could have a pen and paper, but no electronic devices, no internet, just you and your mind. And that was really powerful. We get so caught up in things. It's hard to do at first, but thinking is really where you excel to the next level. Like, our minds are so powerful, and I would argue more powerful than AI, because AI, all it's really doing is looking at the past and regurgitating things. It doesn't have imagination and ingenuity, and it doesn't have the creativity that we do as humans to naturally put two things together and let two ideas germinate with that seem like unrelated. So things like that, like sitting in with your thoughts, and I'm glad you brought this up, because I need to get back to that. I stopped doing it. I need to go put that time back on my calendar and actually just sit and think. Now, it's great when I'm running or something. I get that time to like just be in my head a little bit sometimes. But I'm also usually like listening to something, so that's infiltrating my thoughts. But just having that quiet time is super important.
Yeah. And it's important what we're thinking about, because is it thinking about what is my use case for the LLMs? Or is it thinking about what is my next great prompt? Or is it thinking about how do I solve this problem, or how do I solve this challenge? Or because I don't know if our minds go there, because it seems we're already almost at that stage that when you've got a challenge, when you've got a something that you're wanting to work through, we immediately start thinking, how can I prompt this into, rather than us actually wrestling with it. And if we wanted to use AI in this sense, if we wanted to use ChatGPT or Claude, why not giving it a prompt to say, what are some deep thoughts, or what are some ideas, or what are some problems that would be really good for me to wrestle with myself? I want to go for a long walk. What can I really think about and try form a deep opinion of my own on, and see what prompts it actually comes up with for you? Because I genuinely think that some people will struggle with coming up, well, Justin, what is that thing that I should be thinking about? I, I don't know. I mean, we've got a lot of entrepreneurs and founders and business owners that listen to this. So they will always be wrestling with something. There will always be something on their mind. But for a lot of other people, I don't know if we've always got something top of mind that we feel we need to form an opinion on.
Yeah, or it's buried in there and it's hard for us to pull
Yeah,
it out.
correct.
That's why a lot of times when you're in the shower, thoughts just come to you because something happens. I forget the science of it. I actually talked about it in my other book, in Wealth Beyond Money. But something happens like if you're out running and you're moving, you're
Mm.
doing something different, even when you're driving sometimes and you kind of zone out. And then these amazing ideas hit you, these thoughts hit you. I even bought, there's this thing called Aqua Notes, where it's a waterproof notepad that you can put on the wall of your shower so that when you have an idea in the shower, you can just jot it down. And that's been great because some of the best ideas come to me. And then after, you dry off and get back to your device, you can go look it up and deep dive on it. But yeah, Aqua Notes are great. And yeah, I like that idea. So you're saying start with a prompt in AI and say,
Yeah,
I would say something like, hey, based on what you know about me, what should I think about? I'm blocking out some thinking time on my calendar. I want to think
yeah,
deeply with no devices. Based on what you know about me, give me some thought prompts for my walk
yeah.
that I'm about to go on or something.
And I think the reason it might be quite useful to prompt, it's so bizarre that I'll be saying prompt, tell me what I should think about. I'm wrapping my head around that. But the reason I think it will work is because based on what it knows about you, it will also know what keeps you curious enough to on that walk for 45 minutes, just sit with that idea and be like, that's interesting. Yeah, I wonder what is that all about and how does that work? And. So
Yeah.
I think that would be really good. I mean, on the same note, we should also be challenging ourselves to, instead of just defaulting to Waze or Google Maps, it's look at a map prior to leaving the house, perhaps. Like go old school. When I say look at a map, you don't have to take out a book, but look at your phone, bring up maps, plot your route, understand where you're wanting to go, and then say, right, I'm not switching that on in the car now. I'm just going to drive. Let let your mind, your brain do some of the work. I think there's a net loss that, again, we just drive blind so often. I moved into a new home in November last year, as an example, and was Google Maps and Waze has been instrumental in figuring out what is the best way, depending on where I am in the city in Cape Town, what the best way to get to that place or back to my house, because otherwise I would just default to the old routes. And I suddenly started thinking about it last week. I've driven one of the routes about 10 times. I know it, but I'm still so lazy. I start maps in the car to take me on a route that I know. And I was like, no, Justin, there's something wrong here that you're doing that. How lazy has your brain become that you're wanting to do that each and every time? So I think I'm going to start challenging myself to do a little bit more of the heavy lifting, the cognitive heavy lifting of, yeah, not handing everything over to the LLMs or to ChatGPT and to Claude or to Maps, but doing some of it myself. It would be comparable, as an example, to looking at the bill, every single bill that we get at a restaurant, and taking out the calculator every single time, even when it's basic math that you can apply. What is
Mm-hmm.
10% of in order to apply a tip for the waiter, as an example, or 15%, 20%, whatever you want it to be. So, yeah, I don't want to I don't want my brain to turn to porridge. I don't want porridge brain.
Yeah. You got to exercise the
Yeah.
brain. I will say one thing, though, in defense, because I do the same thing with navigation in the car. But the reason I do it is because traffic is so
Traffic.
bad that
Yeah.
I need to see what's the best route today that I need to
Yeah.
take. And it could
Yeah.
change in the middle of your route. It could reroute you. So that's one argument for doing it. But I like what you're saying. And I do remember the days of maps where you just knew it and you use your brain to get places. And sometimes I will, when I get in the car, I'll put in the address where I'm going and see which route it's saying, how it's going to navigate
Yeah.
traffic. And then I'll turn it off and I'll just use my brain to go that route. But
Yeah.
great exercise there.
Yeah. Anyway, let's land this one with a king move. And I think a king move here is just, it's as simple as Be intentional about the need to do some thinking yourself. We literally have got to a time in our lives where it's possible to outsource almost all of the thinking that we need to do. So just make sure that you are being intentional about still keeping some of that thinking for yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
it.
Go deep. Put it on your calendar. If it's not on your calendar, it's not real. So put some time with yourself on your calendar to have a meeting with your mind and do some deep thinking. And I encourage you to go on a walk or a run or do something else while you're doing it, because that stimulates our brain activity. That's a wrap for today's episode of King Moves. Quick favor before we go. If this episode made you think differently or helped you see your next move more clearly, take 30 seconds and leave us a review. It helps the show reach leaders who need these conversations. Remember, in chess, like in business, one right move can change everything.
Take today's action step, make your move, and build momentum. And if you found value in today's episode, share it with someone who's ready for the next breakthrough. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss our weekly conversations.
Until next time.